round 3. I'm Rich Hagan, that is Max Mick and Quinn Kiefer getting ready to rock and roll with the call throughout round 3 here on MTG Launch. Gabby Spartz and Luis Scott Vargas.
All right, and the players are underway. It looks like we have another Tron here in the feature match area. Quinn going to be cycling that Street Wraith.
And Quinn is on one of my favorite decks to watch in coverage. He's on Black-Red Hollow One.
Oh, this is an exciting deck to watch.
So we're going to get to see some cards discarded, some Hollow Ones put into play, some Flamewake Phoenixes getting in there. And it's a really fun deck. And one of the cool things about it is that the games involving Hollow One are frequently decided quite early.
Yes.
And in an exciting fashion.
This is a very thematic deck for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Time to roll some dice. All right. We are kicking things off here with Burning Inquiry.
Burning Inquiry, all right. So this is where it gets... this is where it starts feeling great or bad. Both players are going to get to draw 3, discard 3 randomly.
Yeah. It truly is the epitome of are you lucky? Oh, I love it. They're not using dice. They're just selecting the cards. That's so much more fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, no Hollow Ones discarded.
No Hollow Ones discarded.
How many are going into play?
And one. There's a Gurmag Angler. What else is there?
All right, looks like just the one. Still with Bloodghast in the graveyard and potentially another Delve card in hand, Quinn could be off to a very fast start here.
Yeah, that was not too shabby of a Burning Inquiry for him. I mean, hitting the Hollow One on turn 1 is awesome.
Yeah, and note that Max had to discard a Dismember, which he would have loved to have in the face of that Hollow One.
There goes a Nulamog too, but at this point of the game, it's not that big of a concern. Oh, Relic of Progenitus. So Tron does play these in the main deck, and it is really nice against Hollow One.
Yeah, unfortunately for Max, he hit it off of Ancient Stirrings, which means that he can't use the ability to exile all graveyards. So at the very least, that Bloodghast is going to hop into play, assuming Quinn has a land, which we can see.
We can see that he does.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. Normally, you'd be like, all right, walk us through how this deck goes. But I think for the Mono Green Tron deck, it's a lot more appropriate if you walk us through what the deck is trying to do, since you've actually played much more Tron than I have.
Yeah, I actually played a lot of the Hollow One deck as well when I was coming into this GP, because I felt like it was nice and thematic for Las Vegas. But yeah, Mono Green Tron, playing Mono Green, just green nowadays, since there's so much land removal, it's really, really difficult if you ever get Path or if you get...
Field of Ruin.
Field of Ruin, yeah. It's really difficult for Tron to come back from that. So they're only playing green nowadays. It's the same Tron plan that you've always seen. Get all 3 lands in play. Get some World Breakers in play. Get Karns. All the usual suspects. You see that Ulamog there in the yard. So the deck hasn't changed too much except for that big change in terms of the number of colors that they're playing. It's so difficult to be trying to play white sideboard cards or black sideboard cards when people are just Field of Ruining you.
Yeah, when you have 12 land slots locked up in the Tron lands, then it really reduces how much you can play basics. And these mono green decks are playing 4 to 5 basic forests, which I think is really good technology. It's a really good adjustment to how the metagame is going.
I think the problem is that it just makes the deck worse in the metagame. When I've been playing this deck, because I do like to play it, it's just not great. On the other hand here, Quinn's actually kind of doing it. Bloodghast in play, Gurmag Angler in play. His graveyard is gone, but he doesn't need anything right now. He's definitely crushing Max at this point.
Yeah, and we see that Max has Expedition Map to find the 3rd Tron piece, but he's going to have turn 4 Tron, not turn 3 Tron, which means Quinn is going to hit for 11 damage, putting Max to 5, facing down 3 creatures, potentially more if any more Hollow Ones show up out of this particular Goblin lore.
So Flamewake Phoenix gets discarded here from the Goblin lore. Quinn gets to draw 4 and discards 3 randomly.
Though Max is going to want to relic away that Flamewake Phoenix, because it will come back at the beginning of combat, because Quinn has that mountain.
So here at the beginning of combat, Ferocious Trigger goes on the stack. This is his opportunity to do it if he wants to.
The problem is if Max pays 1 mana to sacrifice the relic, he can't crack the map.
He also can't crack the map. This is a really tough position. Do you think it's worth it to try to get the Phoenix away? He's on such a quick clock.
I think that Max has to let the Phoenix live so he can play something big next turn, but unless he plays an Ugin, the thing is, he still dies even if he has Ugin, because he goes to 4 here, or 3 here, and Hollow One is colorless.
Yeah,
so
Hollow One is the tech against Ugin.
And also, Gurmag Angler has a high enough mana cost that I imagine that Ugin wouldn't be able to get the Gurmag Angler anyway.
All right, so Max has decided to not crack the Relic and instead crack the map to get Tron. So Tron is assembled, but Max needs something so good in this spot to come back.
Yeah, Oblivion Stone I think is his best out at this point.
See if we can get a peek and see if he has one of them. Let me see how many he's playing in the main deck. There's one All Is Dust, and there are 4 Oblivion Stones. So he has a number of outs.
11:45 sealed last chance trial. Your round 4 pairings have been posted. 11:45 sealed last chance trial. Your round 4 pairings have gone up.
All right, so that's a promo Oblivion Stone.
And that will do it.
And that is exactly what he needed. He also has the Relic, which he hasn't cracked, so this is actually going to work out so nicely, and he gets to crack it right there. All of Quinn's graveyard should be exiled.
Well, he didn't have the mana to crack the Relic.
Oh, did he not?
Yeah, so the Relic actually just got blown
Oh,
up
that's so
by the
unfortunate.
Oblivion Stone, which is unfortunate.
I thought he shortcutted it, but yeah, you're right.
So it's now on Quinn to deliver a little bit more, board presence, because if he doesn't, Max assuredly is going to be able to play something huge and just win the game. Though Quinn does have 4 Lightning Bolts in his deck as well, so if Goblin Lore finds him a Lightning Bolt and he doesn't have to discard it, then that will end up doing it.
All right, so Collective Brutality escalated. Let's take a look at Max's hand. Ugin, Ulamog. What else we got here? Chromatic Star. Oh, he has a lot of gas in hand.
Yeah, and that Collective Brutality doesn't quite kill Max, but sets Quinn up where a Bloodghast hit can now win the game, or a second Collective Brutality.
Do you think from Quinn's perspective, was there any chance he didn't want to extend into this?
It's hard. He wasn't committing much more in the last turn. I think he shouldn't have put in like another Hollow One into play. But the Flamewake Phoenix is essentially free, so I liked how Quinn played this. It is rough that he discarded a Lightning Bolt to an earlier Goblin Lore. You would have loved to keep that, but Max is not out of the woods yet. Bloodghasts pressure him, and so do Collective Brutalities and Lightning Bolts. Though Max is gonna be able to play a Wormcoil Engine here, and that'll stave off the Bloodghasts quite nicely.
Yeah, Quinn actually discarded a Hollow One with that Goblin Lore, but he does have the 1 Bloodghast there, and there's still the Flamewake Phoenix.
Yeah, and to be clear, because people are asking in chat, Quinn already attacked and then got O-stoned. That's why that Bloodghast can't attack. It has haste. Max is at 1, but Max isn't just going to put himself dead on board to a Bloodghast here. So Max might be a kid, but he flicks his cards with the proficiency of an adult.
Oh, he's a very talented player and experienced. All right, Expedition map getting Max another tower.
Yeah, once you have Tron, tower tap map, sack map is already just like, a mana
you're
neutral
just
play.
doing it.
Yeah, free towers.
All right, here comes Wormcoil Engine, which is definitely keeping him alive. But then after that, we saw everything he has in hand. He has Ulamogs, he has Ugins.
Yeah,
I think he just drew a Karn.
The heavy hitters are coming. Basically, this is the last turn Quinn has to win the game. If he doesn't Bolt or Brutality Max this turn, the Wormcoil is going to crunch in, and then Ulamog and Karn and Ugin and all these monsters that you mentioned are going to finish things off.
I'm so curious to see what he has in hand.
I don't think Quinn has much. This is the ugly side of the Hollow One deck.
Oh, yeah.
After your initial onslaught, the deck really has trouble coming up with a second wave.
The thing that's wild about this deck is it feels like a roller coaster because you go from hands looking like they're going to be totally unbeatable to you just discarded all your hollow ones. What am I going to do now?
to playing, one mana 1/2s in the face of worm coil engines.
Yes, exactly. Wow, he just passed.
Yeah, and that's just a really bad sign for
Yes.
Quinn. I think the game is almost locked up because his chance to steal it involved a lightning bolt. Unless Max leaves that Flamewick Adept alive and Quinn does something like run off double Burning Inquiry and hit for 7 with it, it's going to be really hard for Quinn to steal this game.
That's pretty brutal, getting down to 1. This is classic 1 is not 0.
Yeah, that is that line continues to be true.
This Worm Coil Engine is just ready to crunch.
And see, Quinn's in a really tough spot right now, and you see this in tons of games of Magic. Max is going to win this game. Quinn knows that, and Max knows that, but that doesn't mean Max can mess up this turn. He really wants to plan out this turn and optimize it. Whether he casts Ugin or Karn or Ulamog, in any of these situations, 99% to win.
Yeah.
But he still wants to optimize. He still wants to figure out what is the way I make it so I don't screw up and
Look,
lose this game.
that's a lot of ways people lose games. It's they get farther ahead. You actually talk to people who say this is something that they had to work a lot to overcome, and it's when you get really far ahead, you start playing looser because you can afford it. But that doesn't mean that you should actually be playing worse, right? And then the same is true when they're really, really far behind. They're like, whatever, I didn't care anymore. But you weren't actually giving yourself a good chance to win when that was the case.
Yeah, and here Max is going to get to wipe Quinn's board no matter what, but he's like, how can I close the door on this game? How can I make it so Quinn can't come back?
Yeah. So he does get to get in there with a Worm Coil Engine, following up with Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger.
Yeah,
Ready to go eat up Bacchanal here at Las
yeah.
Vegas.
Ulamog and I have some commonalities here, and it's not that we're unbeatable. As the results of the Pro Tour showed, I'm eminently beatable. Oh, little known fact, Hollow One has cycling.
It is wild. When I was playing this deck again, it actually came up one time, and yes, I think people forget that you can. It's because you would never want to cycle it. You always just want to play it. Obviously, on this board, it doesn't do anything. Do you think there's any combination of cards that get Quinn out of this at this point?
I do not believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to cast. You don't put Burning Inquiry in your deck to not cast it.
That's true.
But yeah, this isn't. He's not coming back from a Worm Coil.
Right.
That's going to be really hard.
Max Mick makes a valiant comeback over there. It looked like the game was almost over, and then he was able to turn the corner with a Worm Coil Engine. So moving on to game 2, what do these players get post-board?
Max is going to be the person who's going to sideboard more. There's not a whole lot Quinn is looking to do. Max is going to sideboard in. Thragtusk is pretty nice, actually. It's a little expensive. The game might be over by then, but Thragtusk is exactly what you want when you're staring down a Hollow One and a Gurmag Angler. And another Relic of Progenitus. Surgical Extraction seems like it could be plausible. You can snipe Bloodghast or Flamewake Phoenix before it comes into play.
Yeah.
On the other side of the board, Quinn can board in some Ancient Grudges. He can board in Thoughtseize. But you got to have a light touch when you're boarding with this Hollow One deck. It is a deck that is greater than the sum of its parts. It's a synergy deck, and you can't cut, like, if you cut too many discard spells, your Hollow Ones start to be bad. If you cut too many of the big creatures, your Flamewake Phoenixes start to be poor, and so on and so forth. So
that actually brings me to something that I think a lot of players do in Modern. How often do you think people overboard in Modern? Specifically when it comes to, like, combo decks, you know?
Yeah, when you're playing a deck like Hollow One or Affinity or Cart Clan Ironworks, you're probably supposed to board like around 2 cards per match on average, and there's just people who board in 6 cards, and you're just making your deck worse.
When I first started playing Modern, when I got into it a long time ago, the first deck that I played was an Affinity deck. And so when I was sideboarding, I like aggressively brought in like Thoughtseizes and things like that, and then eventually when I drew my first hand, it was all the sideboard cards, and it's like, it was the first time like the light bulb turned on, you know?
So Quinn Kiefer, member of the Kiefer family, 3 of them, and they are all prolific Magic players, and I believe all of them have qualified for the Pro Tour at various points, though it's possible maybe only 2 of them have. I think it's been all 3 of them.
I think it's all 3 of them, and it's funny, they don't always play together at team tournaments, so sometimes it's like 2 of them. They're all really talented players.
This is the future of Magic right here. Both sides of this match.
That is really sweet, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Then again, they're playing Hollow One and Tron, so the future's grim.
I don't know. That Hollow One deck is really fun to play.
Oh, I actually
It's-
love covering it.
It's a little weird because it is very random, like what you end up with after you discard. So in some ways, I know there's a lot of like randomness in Magic, right? But you can really see it when you're playing the Hollow One deck. However, it is also so exciting, like when you do get to see what you're drawing, and then away it goes.
Games of chance are exciting.
Yes, they are for sure. All right, so here we go. Game 2, round 3 at GP Las Vegas. Max Mix versus Quinn Kiefer.
All right.
Mm?
Putting you to the test.
Mm.
Gabby's wondering. She has no idea what could come next. The range is
It
very
could, it
wide.
could be anything is the thing.
What is the largest number of Hollow Ones we're going to see on turn 1 in this tournament?
Do I set the line or do I just say
Yeah,
the
set a line.
2.5?
All right. I think we're going to see 3 one time this tournament.
So you're taking the over?
Yeah, I'll take the over.
I'll take the under.
All right.
Yeah, I
you,
think
you think 2 is the max number of Hollow Ones we're going to say?
I really want to see 3 though, so I almost don't want to take the side of the bet.
I don't think it's going to happen, or it's not as likely to happen now. Quinn is mulliganing, as is Max, actually. But it would be really sweet to see
But with a Hollow
3
One
Hollow Ones
deck-
on turn 1.
With a Hollow One deck, if you're just Burning Inquiry, you could just draw into them. Like, it's not even that big of a deal to mulligan as long as you have, like, turn 1 Burning Inquiry or turn 2 Goblin Lore.
No, you
Or
are
Faithless Looting
you are-
and,
you
like,
are-
Street
You are
Wraith.
more likely to discard the Hollow Ones if you mulligan, which is unfortunate.
That's true.
There is nothing worse than casting Burning Inquiry and discarding a Hollow One. You just feel completely robbed.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Max has brought in some enchantments, some Nature's Claims to kill the Hollow Ones.
No, that makes sense.
That's a good way to get back, especially if the Hollow One player just gets a Hollow One on turn 1 or 2. All right, so Street Wraith, Cycle, and Thoughtseiz's turn 1.
Ooh, that's one lander.
Oh, this is a one-lander. Wait, is that no other ways to get more lands?
No, I think if Quinn takes the Chromatic Star, we could see Max play a game where he casts 0 spells.
Yeah. He kept the 2 Nature's Claims, which I think
That hand-
were like pretty nice against the potential Hollow Ones. But yes, he takes the Sphere.
Oh yeah, I wish
Oh,
that was a
boy.
Chromatic Star actually, so that hand would be an All-Star. But it was banking on the Chromatic Sphere pretty hard.
Yeah, this hand got worse very quickly. Oh, Forest?
Max may have scried that to the top. I didn't catch what his mulligan scry
That's true.
was.
That's true. He did mulligan, but that's still very good.
It does mean that Max has the 2 Nature's Claims, but if Quinn opens on Gurmag Angler or Flamewake Phoenix Bloodghast here, then Max is still very far away from casting any spells. He needs to rattle off a bunch of Tron lands to be able to put his, expensive spells on.
Yeah, look
into
at
play.
what Quinn's doing. He just hardcast a Bloodghast.
All right, well, I mean, that's one way to get it done.
So Tower and Star, Chromatic Star for Max Mick. I just want to see some Goblin Lores. Come on.
But don't tell me you're not rooting for Tron here.
Yes, but I also like action.
That is true. The eternal struggle. Like, I like Tron, or I like this player, but I also like action.
Yes.
Wow, Quinn is just doing it the hard way
Yes,
here.
just playing full retail price for that Flamewake Phoenix. Okay, Max sees that Quinn is not really playing the Hollow Ones into this, so he's going ahead and cracking his own Star. The nice thing about that, too, is that Star doesn't actually need to be cracked to draw a card, so he actually just gets to draw a card from it anyway.
Yeah, get your 4 life off the Nature's
Yeah.
Claim for free-ish.
Oh, here we go. Goblin Lore.
Let's see what the Goblin Sages have for Quinn today.
These are the 3 that are being discarded. Bloodghast was good. Burning Inquiry and a Goblin Lore. Any hollow ones? Faithless Looting? Any hollow ones? Flamewake and Bloodghast, okay. Land gets those 2 back.
Yeah, Quinn is just doing
He's
it
just going-
the grimy way
Yes.
here. Just
He really is.
none of the large creatures. Oh, has Max drawn a surgical extraction? No, he would have just snapped that off if he had.
Yes. You can't get that Phoenix back yet, but maybe in the near future.
And Max's life total was high, since there seems some question about that, because he nature's claimed his own star.
Mhm.
So he gained 4 life there.
So Faithless Looting, draw 2. Let's
And
see what he discards.
And this is
Just
a
a couple
two-turn
lands.
clock right now with all these just 2-1s and 2-2s. And Max is kind of locked, right? Tron has this happen sometimes where you have 1 Tron piece in play and your hand's all 8 drops. There's just nothing you can do.
Well,
and
I
you're just
think-
wondering why you played the stack, and you're just questioning.
He does have a surgical. Wait, when did he draw that? He must have drawn it right now.
He's just doing. This is the surgical, so I can see how you sideboarded
Sure.
phase of the game.
Yeah, let's see what he brought. We can see. Doesn't look like much sideboard tech in there.
Oh, it looks like Chad does point out that there's actually a Bloodstained Mire under that Blood Crypt, so surgical would not have even stopped the Bloodghasts because he could just crack the fetch in response. But yeah, Max is just taking the scope just to see what is going on in Quinn's deck. Not that it matters a whole lot. I almost wonder if it wasn't worth it just because the information Max gained probably
By
less.
knowing to be careful about. But don't you think that's something he would be like? Quinn is a very experienced player. Don't you think that's a card he's like thinking about when he's playing against Tron?
Yeah, but not all Tron decks have it. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
that is-
most of
that
them
is
do.
true.
But
a lot of them do. The thing is, like, when Tron became a mono green deck, its sideboard options became a lot worse.
and yeah, that means more likely.
That means more surgical extractions out there.
True.
I am seeing some questions in chat about what time day 1 is gonna end. We're gonna be here for a bit. We think it is 3:15 here. We think this is gonna go to around
Well,
9:10.
Yeah, I think
PM
about
our
another
time.
about another 6.5 hours or so.
Mhm.
Though I have good news for you, chat. Paul Cheon and Brian David Marshall will be doing the last round. So, in case you're concerned about Gabby and I, we'll be getting off much earlier. So, have no fear. And then, of course, after this round, we'll have some time walk action. So we're going to be covering more matches, and then next round is when a lot of the pros enter the fray. You know, the ones who haven't been siphoned off into the BDQs, the beta draft qualifiers.
The BDQ.
I
The
wouldn't.
BDQ is such a good name, by the way. This was Owen Turnwald coined it, but now everyone's just calling them BDQs. It's such a clever name.
Well, that's to give you a little insight into the production and distribution of memes and Magic, one of the main channels is that Owen Turnwald comes up with something and then I propagate it. So Owen called it BDQs when I was talking to him, and I started telling everyone that they're BDQs.
yes, and then everybody starts calling them
Yeah.
BDQs, and now
It's-
we're talking about it on the broadcast.
It's the life cycle of memes, you know, and it's an important one.
Owen is very funny. He comes up with a lot of stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So I never thought I would see the day that pros would skip a Grand Prix to play side events, but you know, a 3x beta draft is a once in a lifetime experience.
I'm so excited for it. Everyone in this room is so excited about this draft. Like even when you just walk by, people are talking about it.
Yeah, I think it was just a great event to run, just because for Magic's 25th anniversary, like this is just one of the headliners. Like this is one of the really special things you can do to say like Magic has 25 years of history.
It is very fitting to have this at GP Vegas too. They've had a lot of really, really neat events. Oh, all right. This is easy peasy. They just have to call a judge, but it looks like a card flipped while Quinn was drawing 7.
Yeah, it's a little weird because Quinn flipped it while he was drawing it, so that Scalding Tarn should be in his hand.
Yeah.
So maybe he just showed Max a Scalding Tarn, which he's just allowed to do. But we'll see what the judge says. I don't know how the situation should be resolved.
Yeah.
The other option is to just shuffle it back into his deck and Quinn draws 2 new cards, then no one has any knowledge of what's in his hand. But, like, in the middle of a game, if you accidentally flip your top card, it just gets shuffled.
Yes.
But this may have been a card in his hand, which
But
you're just
it
allowed
is really
to reveal.
early. I think the judges can deal with this stuff pretty easily, relatively. Yeah, most of the time it just counts as looking at extra cards and then it just gets shuffled, right?
Yeah. All right, so in this case, Max gets the priceless knowledge that Quinn has a Scalding Tarn in his hand.
That technology, though.
Ooh, I see 2 pieces of Tron.
Oh, do we have Natty Tron? I don't see the tower.
No, but there is an expedition map.
Ooh.
This is going to be a tough one for Quinn. Guaranteed turn 3 Tron, even though Max doesn't have any action, just Tron. It is still going to be
always
tough.
snap that off,
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Land map.
Are we going to see Hollow 1, Hollow 2?
Oh, wait, this might actually change things. Burning
Burning
Inquiry.
Inquiry. Burning Inquiry is essentially like a triple Thoughtseize if you're really good at picking random cards.
Triple Thoughtseize has been called.
Two Tron pieces.
Oh my gosh.
2 Tron pieces in Karn.
And
That's
a
just
Karn,
the whole.
that's what he-
That's the whole game plan right there.
Wow.
Though Max is kind of Tron flooded. He has 2 more Tron pieces in hand.
Which ones did he have, though? Also, okay, there you go. Well, that's fine. But discarding the Karn is so brutal. Yeah, and Quinn actually has that hollow one now.
I don't know if you're allowed to feel bad for Tron players just in general. That is, but
Can you feel bad for Hollow One players? I don't know. I feel like it's like a battle of these are like the 2
nah,
super villains.
Hollow
you
One
know?
players are great. They got Gamble. I love it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So far, Quinn's discards have been pretty good.
This one a little less impressive,
Yeah,
though.
this
It
is
got
not
the
quite as
second
good.
Karn. That is actually really important as well.
Is Karn even that good in this matchup?
No, I don't think it's great, but it's a 7-mana spell, and Max has nothing else to cast. You would still rather cast Karn than nothing. That's just science.
Oh, yeah. Well, Quinn has hit that little Flame Wake Phoenix, so it is going to be coming in the near future. Ooh.
Oh yeah, Quinn just explored there a little bit. since Max was on the play.
Yeah.
I think all the all the Burning Inquiries got him, a little bit out of sorts here. So now the question is, would he have played the Angler if he knew that he didn't have a land in play?
No, and he wouldn't be able to get the Phoenix back, too.
So I think he's asking the judge whether or not he still is obliged to play Gurmag Angler in this board situation.
I mean, sometimes judges do rewind it to the point where that inflection would have happened, but it is not consistent what exactly happens in that situation.
Yeah, the judge has to determine kind of what's going on. Okay, so it looks like also because he tapped the Blackleaf Cliffs, which he played, and he wasn't supposed to this turn, that actually, I think, correctly means he couldn't have cast the Angler, so now he has the option of cracking Tarn to cast Angler, but he's not forced to cast Angler by cracking Tarn.
Right.
So the question is, do you cast Gurmag Angler or bring in a Flamewake Phoenix? And the Phoenix gets damage in immediately, but getting a Gurmag Angler in play sets you up to attack for quite a bit of damage next turn.
That is pretty scary against a potential O-Stone.
And I think that answered the question of which one's getting cast this turn.
So basic Swamp here for Quinn. And everything but the Phoenix is going to get exiled to Gurmag Angler.
Yeah, or
Humph.
Joe Gurmagio, as they call him.
Only you call it Joe Gurmagio. It's only you. Also, hold on. That was a Scalding Tarn,
That was a
so
Scalding
he cannot fetch a Swamp. So he would have needed to fetch a Blood Crypt.
Look, Hollow One's going to Hollow One. Just put it that way. This hasn't been the cleanest turn.
No, not quite. It's been exciting. Not particularly clean.
So
This is live though. We can we can actually
we're gonna flag the judge that he fetched a Swamp off of a Scalding Tarn. We're getting our producer to go and let him know.
Right, it looks like they're stopping the match. All right, perfect. So It's been an exciting game. I am curious what Max is going to do this turn. I don't know. What is he? Does he have in hand?
We see Quinn Kiefer's mom is actually watching because she's a big fan of Magic, goes to all the Magic tournaments, and she's just like face palming and next to the feature match area.
Mama Kiefer is great.
Yeah.
And she always comes in because the Kiefer boys they're all pretty young, so it's nice that their mom is here. But yeah, she is just face palming on the side like, what are you doing?
What a world to live in. I cannot imagine playing a match of Magic and having my mom scolding me for misplays afterwards.
That's so sick.
That'd be so
That'd
awesome.
be so sick.
I'm just actually really jealous. Like, when I played Magic, my mom told me to, scold me for playing Magic, not because she watched my game and I misplayed.
Yeah, was it you just like sneaking around like, yeah, I'll be back by this time, but you're actually just going to the LGS?
Yeah. There's definitely stuff like that. Like, it's a school night, you shouldn't be
Whoa,
playing Magic
what
till
a rebel.
11. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was me. I was rebellious. My parents are okay with me playing Magic these days, though.
They kind of had to, right?
Yeah, they came around.
I feel like at some point it's just like, all right, deal with it.
Well,
This is the path we've taken.
Not only could they not change it, it also was actually working out, I'd say reasonably well. Now that I got into the beta draft, at least. Finally, it's paid off. To be clear, since chat's talking about game losses and cheating, all that, absolutely not cheating. You have to have intent. Also, game losses tend to be for the same kinds of infractions, though this is a game rule violation. So we're going to see how the judge ends up ruling this. We're gonna wait and see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is the fact that he can fetch a Blood Crypt and he could do the play that he was going to do if he'd fetch properly. So it's not...
See, part of what you have to look at is, too, is what kind of advantage was gained. And here the advantage gained was very minor.
It's like 2 life.
Yeah. Though playing an extra land is actually a fairly large advantage, but that got caught very quickly as well.
I was talking about this in particular.
Also, a good point. Max should be on top of this, too. It is kind of your responsibility to make sure your opponent plays by the rules, both for your own sake, and protection so your opponent doesn't do something they're not supposed to do, which gives them an advantage, and because you're responsible for maintaining the game state as well. So it looks like it's standing because it's advanced long enough. All right.
Interesting. All right. That was the overachiever Scalding Tarn, trying to go for 3 colors.
Also, to be clear, Quinn, like he ended up fetching Swamp off Scalding Tarn, but because it was already Max's turn and he'd taken some game actions, I guess they let it stand.
All right, so Max is going to crack that Chromatic Star, and in comes Thragtusk. Nice sideboard technology for Max.
Yeah, this is the situation where Thragtusk is actually pulling a lot of weight here. Gaining 5 gives you some breathing room. It can trade for a Gurmag Angler or a Hollow One,
and then it blocks.
Right, and then the 3/3 just sits there eating a Bloodghast or chumping if you really need to.
Does look like he has an Oblivion Stone, so if things get out of hand, he will be able to clean it up.
Though I will say that it would behoove Quinn to be quite careful because these things do add up and they attract match to match.
Yeah, they are.
Because getting game rule violations, it happens to everyone. Like it really honestly happens to everyone, but too many of them and you will face penalties even if it is unintentional.
All right, so it looks in this situation, the Thragtusk is going to battle against the Fish, the Gurmag Angler. And I'm sure they're working on getting a token.
A beast.
Oh, you want to hear a fun fact, Luis? Max,
no, I'm going to pass.
You want to hear the fun fact. You're going to hear the fun fact. Max Mick here is the son of Joel Mick, who was in round 2 feature match.
Yeah, that's what Rich was mentioning, that we're getting running back, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and he top-8'd Team Grand Prix DC 2018. I did also, me, Pat Cox, Andrew Beckstrom. So me and Max Mix top-8'd the GP. It's Team Grand Prix, so only the top 4 count. But hey.
Quinn Kiefer here has won a team with his brother Jack, and his birthday is actually today.
Happy birthday, Quinn. Here's some game rule violation.
All right, so Max playing another Tron land.
He's got lots of Tron lands.
Yeah,
The question is, what does
he's
he
Tron flooded.
what does he spend all that mana on? What sort of action we got in there?
I don't think he has that much. He has that Oblivion Stone. He has a oh no, he has a Ugin, which is spooky against the Hollow One, but it's pretty good against everything else.
Oh yeah. I think Max actually is in great shape here. Having Oblivion Stone and Ugin means he's just going to demolish Quinn's chances of getting an army in play, and then mop things up quite quickly, as Tron tends to do.
Mm-hmm. So here we see Oblivion Stone hitting the board. Should clean up things nicely over for Max.
So this turn, Quinn send everything in. Max can just pop Oblivion Stone, and then even if Quinn has some ability to rebuild, Ugin's going to be a really tough card to defeat. 8 mana cards in Modern tend to be pretty strong.
Yeah. I mean, Ugin's just attacks against this because, you know, you're getting all these free attacks and all these blood gas, but having something exiled is just brutal.
Though the presence of Ugin in hand means that Max may have wanted to trade Thragtusk for the Hollow One instead of the Angler, just because Ugin...
I think he just drew it, though.
True.
Yeah. Because last time he had that O-Stone, but I think he only had like a star. So I think he actually cycled into it with a star.
Gotcha.
All right, so all creatures going to get in here.
Interesting. Quinn choosing not to hit in with Bloodghast. And
is there a reason not to get in there?
I don't think so. I think he did want to attack with Bloodghast. Max actually took the 2 damage from Flamewake Phoenix just to make it sure he could O-Stone anything else Quinn played. And then when he didn't, just crack the O-Stone in a turn there.
The nice thing is that Quinn has that Bloodstained Mire, so even if Max plays an Ugin here, he could crack it in the turn and get the Bloodghast back, and they're safe from the Ugin.
And can even pressure Ugin if it comes down to it, though. Ugin,
Yeah.
Ugin has a lot of loyalty. See, this is the situation Tron players live for. Tons of mana, you know, what gigantic card should I play now? Should I play a Thragtusk? Should I play an Ugin? Got to crack a star first, see a little action. The game really is, you know, exactly where Tron wants it to be.
Wheel spinning, as they say. Yeah, he just has so many options at this point. Looks like he's going for 5, and he's drawn another Thragtusk, and he has green from that star floating from earlier. Ooh, when Sylvan Scrying might get him... Yeah, so he gets a Sanctum of Ugin, so as soon as he casts that new Ugin, he gets to, I don't know, maybe tutor something even bigger. Maybe an Ulamog?
Yeah. Ulamog is always hungry, and we'll find something to eat very soon here.
Bloodghast don't look particularly appetizing, I will say.
No, they don't sound very good either.
Yeah, so Quinn cracking that land there allows his Bloodghast to come back. If he hits a big creature, he's going to get those Flamewake Phoenixes back as well.
He does have Thoughtseize. That could actually stop Ugin from coming out, though.
Yeah, it's not nothing. I mean, the Oblivion Stone is a consideration, too, but the Ugin is very scary, especially against Sanctum of Ugin.
Yeah, with the Sanctum, I think you're just almost forced to take Ugin because it just represents 2 big threats instead of just 1. But still, I think O-Stone and Thragtusk probably enough to get Max Mick across the finish line here.
Somebody in chat says, I would not order the Bloodghast surprise at a restaurant.
I would if it was like a challenge or something. I like challenges.
Yes. I believe that you would order this dish. I think I would pass.
Never good news when Thragtusk turns sideways.
Yeah. Well, Max is at a really high life total, so he also doesn't really care that much. Ooh, the Ancient Grudge. Did he put a fade counter on something? So it is going to put a fade counter on that Thragtusk even on its way out. Might be relevant for a future Oblivion Stone.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
Your round 3 pairings are being posted. Commander Championships, your round 3 pairings are now being posted.
Yeah, so we're seeing the cycled hollow one. Hardcast Bloodghast, all right.
This is going to work a little less well than the Hardcast Bloodghast of Game 2.
Players in the Modern Grand Prix, time is up in your round.
Ancient Stirrings for Max.
Player finishes turn, then there
Ooh,
are
there's a
5
surgical.
turns.
Ooh,
There's an Ugin.
There's an
Yeah,
Ugin.
he snapped it off.
Ugin. That's actually lethal. Just attack with Thragtusk and Ghostfire Quinn, and that'll do it.
Yeah, and Quinn's picking up his cards, and that'll do it. Max Mick moves on here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. So is this like Evil 1? Is that what's going on here?
Well, I don't even think Bloodghast and Hollow One are evil. I like that deck. Tron is evil. Though.
That's what I'm saying.
That. Yeah. Evil did win. I do not think it was the battle of two evils.
All right, so don't go anywhere. We have a lot more Magic coming your way after these messages. Welcome back to the booth. Gabby Sports joined by Luis Scott Vargas, and we have some time walk action for you this round. We have Ben Sek versus Jake Beardsley. All right, so Ben is actually playing something kind of spicy. He's playing Affinity, but his deck is a little different than normal, Luis. What's going on over here?
So one of the kind of pieces of technology from Dominaria is Karn Sign of Urza, and it's actually becoming a mainstay in Affinity. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah, and
I'm into it.
Affinity has adopted a 4-mana card. Never thought I'd see the day, but Karn does a lot of work in Affinity, and this is going to be, kind of an interesting test, especially since against Jake Beardsley playing Jeskai, Karn could do some good work in outpacing Electrolyze and Lightning Bolt by just drawing extra cards.
So on the other hand, we have Jake Beardsley, and he's playing Jeskai, but it's not just normal Jeskai. It looks like he has elements of combo in here.
Yeah, he's playing 2 copies of Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breaker to go infinite alongside Restoration Angel and Deceiver Exarch. So, plus 4 Wall of Omens. Copying Wall of Omens with Kiki-Jiki is much more satisfying than copying Restoration Angel. So
so TBS off to kind of a slow Affinity start. Only a Springleaf Drum, that's it.
For TBS's sake, I hope he has an Ornithopter in his hand, because he has incentive to slow roll the Ornithopter so it doesn't get bolted. Hopefully he's able to go Ornithopter or Mox Opal or both. He could have a turn 2 Karn here.
So far just Cranial Plating and Welding Jar, but no creatures for TBS.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, chat, TBS is the Ben Sek, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, he is known by his friends and acquaintances and enemies as TBS, so that is pretty much what everyone calls him.
Not his fans?
What fans? No, TBS is awesome. He has a lot of fans. He doesn't have any creatures, but this is one of those games where Inkmoth Nexus is going to try to do some work. Though Karn looking like it costs 4 mana in his hand, that's for sure.
That is true. All right, so Steel Overseer for Ben. He's going to use the Steel Overseer for mana to get Inkmoth Nexus in there.
And this is the situation Affinity fears. Just playing against a Jeskai deck with millions of cards in hand, and yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, so Lightning Helix targeting the Steel Overseer, and Welding Jar is going to protect it for this turn. But without any other Welding Jars in play, it's looking dire for the Steel Overseer.
Welding Jar was a good exchange there. Ben traded a 0-mana card for a 2-mana card. That's great in Modern. It's really powerful. But because Ben's hand was, as you said, otherwise slow, if Jake can kill that Steel Overseer, then Ben just doesn't have that much pressure in play. And ooh,
also, Field of Ruin doing so much work. We've seen it do so much work this weekend.
Field of Ruin is going to give Jake a lot of breathing room against Inkmoth Nexus, and that is a really good card in Modern right now. And the control decks have started playing 2 to 4 of these regularly.
I also believe Jake has a Bolt in his hand. So TBS is going to get a mount out of this, loses his creature land, and Jake's going to be able to bolt that Steel Overseer.
That's what's looking like Jake is setting up here. Getting basic Mountain when you already have Sulfur Falls in play often will indicate that. Though, to be fair, Jake's deck is playing Kiki-Jiki, so it has a more need for red mana than most Jeskai decks.
All right, so that is what we were just talking about.
It's funny. Ben needed to move his board around because in the red zone you actually have to have the creatures before the lands. I get yelled at every time for that. But Jake's like, I don't care where it's going. That Steel Overseer is getting bolted.
All right, so now TBS with no creatures, though I think he does have an Arcbound Ravager.
And he would have loved to see a 4th land there. If he was able to play Karn and either make a construct or plus Karn, either one would have been very strong. All right, Jake still tons of options here. He's got to deal with another Nexus, and Arcbound Ravager is fairly threatening. Jake may be able to kind of lure TBS down the path of sacking a bunch of artifacts to save Ravager from a burn spell and then having a second burn spell or a path to exile. But now that Ben is untapped and can animate the Inkmoth Nexus, at least those counters would go somewhere in the event of Ravager dying.
TBS is also an experienced player. He will be very mindful of not falling for like the double burn spell, unless he has to play into it. And now the new hotness we get to see. Jake's going to take a look at it.
It's always exciting when a new set brings a new card for a well-established deck, and Affinity is a deck that especially doesn't change as sets come out. I would imagine Affinity gets like one card per year at most, and the fact that even if all the Affinity decks play Karn and now it's a mainstay, it's a little too early to say that exactly. It is still cool seeing Karn in these first couple weeks here.
Do you think Karn's here for good? Yeah, like, do you think this is a good card for? It's so expensive.
It's looking pretty good here.
Yeah, it really
it is protection against flood, and I mean when Karn is making, like right now it's making a 5/5, 6/6. Yeah, making a 6/6 token is pretty busted.
It is
like,
a big game.
Like I've tried playing decks that make Karn do a lot of work.
I was gonna say I know you have experience with putting Karns in decks, but I don't know to what efficacy.
Yeah, we didn't do so well at the Pro Tour, but the Affinity deck does a lot of damage. Oh, Jake.
Yeah,
now we see why Jake did not Cryptic Command the Karn. It looks like he could have. He's got Kiki-Jiki. He's got Restoration Angel. Does he have a 5th land?
The land is the problem.
He does not.
He doesn't. Oh, wow. All right, so Resto Angel does take out Karn. And if he gets one land, he can combo off.
And because Jake still does have that Cryptic Command, he could tap all of Ben's creatures, though Ben has an Arcbound Ravager that's a 1/1. It can eat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be artifacts, be a 6/6. It can attack for 7 points of poison. That actually leaves Ben one short here of killing Jake, even if Jake uses Cryptic Command to tap down pre-combat.
Which he is.
And in this case, Ben already animated the Nexus, so Ben is not going to be able to attack this turn.
Yeah, so TBS goes ahead, taps the entire team.
Jake just looking for that 5th land.
One land. He even has all the red he needs. There it is. Land. Yeah, fetch.
And as long as he doesn't get a mountain with this Flooded Strand, we are good to go here.
There it is. Island and combo off. Kiki-Jiki can blink Resto Angel. Resto Angel enters the battlefield again. Blinks Kiki-Jiki. Go infinite. All right, so game 2. Land Ornithopter for Ben and go.
Yeah, and because it's a time walk match, we got to skip straight to game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Not missing the exciting shuffling parts.
What do you think happens for these players post-board?
Jake is going to get a lot more. Affinity not only doesn't board very much, it doesn't have that much it can board against Jeskai. Ben's going to be able to board in like an Etched Champion, which dodges a lot of removal, and a couple Stubborn Denials or Thought Seizes, depending on which disruption he wants. On the other side of the board, though, Jake gets Wrath of God, Wear Tear, Stony Silence, though only one copy. And I guess that's about it. Maybe oh yeah, and an Anger of the Gods. So Jake gets some pretty high-impact cards, though he has fewer board cards than some Jeskai decks do, which is good news for Ben.
Well, that's one of the benefits of playing a deck like Jeskai. They just get so much access to really good sideboard cards. Jeskai has actually become quite popular in Modern nowadays. What do you think contributes to the rise of it?
The addition of Search for Azcanta and Teferi actually did a lot of work. Both of those cards are quite effective in the Jeskai deck. And it's also the sort of thing where Jeskai is really hard to build correctly. And in order to get to a point where it's good, it took some time. Maybe people found a good list for the metagame.
Yeah.
And that can explain some of its rising popularity as well.
There was definitely a period of time where people were working really hard to make the control deck, make the good Jeskai list, and it seemed like people weren't getting a lot of traction. So maybe having some of these cards has helped in that regard.
Yeah, I've played many iterations of Jeskai over the years, and I never felt it was the best deck, but I think it's really good right now. Better than it has been in a long time.
Well, it's also a playstyle that a lot of players really like. So I am happy that people in Modern have this one deck that they can turn to, right, if they want this kind of deck. So it looks like Jake draws a land for the turn. All right, so Path to Exile targeting Arcbound Ravager.
And now Ben has to make a decision. He can sacrifice the Ravager to its own ability, move the counter onto the Ornithopter, or he can do
Or he
what,
can
what,
get
what
a-
he just did.
Yeah, which is he's choosing to let the Ravager get exiled, and then he gets to get a land out of his deck.
Yeah, I like getting the basic land here. In this case, a mountain, more than putting 1+1/+1 counter on Ornithopter.
It is just a counter. It's not too much. The Ravager was not ravaging yet.
No, it was
It was mildly hungry.
yeah. Ben could have a turn 3 Karn the hard way here, getting pathed, but
But
well,
that's the honest way.
yeah, I guess that is.
He's
is a
paying
little
full
more.
retail price for it. I think he's instead opting for a cranial plating. The Mox Opal.
Ooh, and that
Ooh, and a Thoughtseize.
yeah, that enables the Thoughtseize. I like his decision to board in Thoughtseize. Being able to use Thoughtseize instead of put Stubborn Denial because your opponent has Restoration Angel and Kikijiki in their deck.
So it looks like Jake has quite a bit of lands. He has 3 lands. That Celestial Purge, Cryptic Command. I can't quite tell what the one before.
Oh, Ruined Halo.
Oh, it is.
Which gives Jake protection from a card. Not the most common choice, but it can do something like shut off all copies of Inkmoth Nexus if you needed to.
That is coming from the sideboard, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Celestial Purge, I think, is like a preemptive sideboard card against Blood Moon, but it actually turns out TBS doesn't run Blood Moon at all.
Yeah, the Celestial Purge just kind of looks dead right now.
Oh, there's no targets in TBS's deck unless he has boarded in Gear per Ether Grid, which I assume he did not.
The Grid.
Though that does fight Stony Silence. I like it a lot less against the more proactive Kikijiki Restoration Angel deck than I would against like a traditional Jeskai control deck.
Yeah, so all of Jeskai's answers aren't looking like they line up that well against TBS, so I think they just drew a Stony Silence.
Though, Frank Carson's actually in the chat. He ran the numbers, and Celestial Purge does kill Vault Scourge as well.
Oh.
Though, all that discussion comes to naught as, yeah, you're right, that was a Stony Silence, and now, that Mox Opal no longer taps for mana. The Cranial Plating can no longer be moved, though it doesn't fall off. It is affixed to the Ornithopter and will let Ben attack for decent amounts of damage.
Yeah, that was a really good top deck for Jake. Does TBS have anything? He has Wear and Tears.
And Wear and Tear is a card that is frequently boarded in. Yeah, you definitely can't tap that Mox Opal. But one of the reasons I don't like boarding in Wear and Tear against Stony Silence is Mox Opal and Springleaf Drum can't cast it once Stony Silence is in play, so you're banking really hard on your Spires of Industry and the one Glimmer Void.
Well, there's the Vault Scourge, speaking of.
And it might just get Celestial Purge. That's really funny.
Yeah, and Blink Moth getting activated.
So looks like a total of 5 artifacts in place. That's a respectable 6 points of damage.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. Another Field of Ruin for Jake, which will stop this Blink Moth Nexus, or Ink Moth, depending on what he wants to go for.
And because Ben isn't able to remove the plating, I like his decision to go with Blink Moth to just pressure Jake on the 1 Axie life total.
So Jake gonna go ahead and fetch.
Oh man, Karn is also really good against Stony Silence.
Yeah, it is. It actually gives you a game plan against them.
Yeah, it is a challenge to cast Karn with a Stony Silence in play, though.
Yeah.
Because
a
only
lot of your mana gets tied up, huh?
only your lands tap for mana, and then also 4 of the lands don't tap for mana. Darksteel Citadel.
I mean, but if you're playing against a deck that's playing Path, maybe you've gotten Path 1 or 2 times, then...
That's true, though. Frequently, the Affinity decks play just the 1 basic to go get. Though I have seen some versions with 1 mountain, 1 island.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Was that a Supreme Verdict?
Oh yeah, it's like a normal Verdict with sour cream and tomatoes.
That sounds delicious. Yeah, and that's what we're going to see. Goodbye, Vault Scourge. Goodbye, Ornithopter. This is a dark side of playing Affinity.
Oh yeah, Stony
Silence. When your deck is
Silence.
so busted on turn 1 and then on turn 2 you're like, Stony Silence, I cannot win. Well, this Blink Moth Nexus is not scared. It's just going to keep getting in. Jake is at a relatively low life total, but TBS just doesn't have any gas left.
No, and that Field of Ruin is just going to, stop Ben from getting any more attacks in. Though, it's even more brutal than that. Ben has no other basic lands to get. So Field of Ruin is actually just a straight-up strip mine that gets Jake another land.
He did draw Spire of Industry just now. Does he have a Karn? Doesn't look like it.
Spire of Industry does help. It does unlock cards like Stubborn Denial, though without any large creatures in play, it's actually just a force spike.
All right, so this Blink Moth had a good run, but it's gonna get killed here.
And Ben looking through his deck, he's actually just shuffling it. He's not even looking through it. I guess the shuffle is mandatory on Field of Ruin, as chat has pointed out, helpfully.
So the follow-up of Steel Overseer can't get activated.
So it's essentially a Memnite, except it costs 2 mana.
Yeah, it's a bad deal on a Memnite. Also, Jake is covered. He has all the answers.
He was even thinking about casting Lightning Helix, and then just decided not to.
Yeah, he's just like, nah. Unnecessary. Celestial Colonnade for Jake.
And Jake has this pretty close to locked up. Because even if Ben did decide to Wear Chair and does draw it to kill the Stony Silence, Ben will have lost so much momentum by having that in play for so many turns that Jake is going to be able to stabilize, kill all his cards, and Ben will have a hard time mounting an offense even without Stony Silence in play.
It looks like Jake's had enough of the Steel Overseer. Away it goes. He gains 3 life. And that door is closing on TBS.
Arcbound Worker there from Ben. I mean, it is an Arcbound Ravager, but it is essentially an Arcbound Worker.
He just has that Stubborn Denial and nothing else. This is looking so grim for Ben.
Losing game 1 with Affinity is rough.
Yeah, you're supposed... I mean, this is one of the decks where you're supposed to win game 1 and then try to get one of the next 2, right?
Yep. Affinity just has a lot of vulnerability to certain hate cards that make it really important to win game 1. I have a hard time not wanting to run like 2 Stony Silences in the board of all my white decks in Modern.
Honestly, it gets a lot of decks is the thing.
Yeah, the fact that it gets Karkline Ironworks as well, and does impact Tron. I mean, it shuts off all the chromatic stars and spheres and maps, as well as Oblivion Stone. So I like Stony Silence a lot. It's one of the kind of high impact cards that I'm looking for in my Modern sideboard.
It randomly hoses other things too, like it hoses Lantern.
It does.
Yeah. Get him real good. Gosh, he just drew another Lightning Helix.
Yeah, and these Celestial Colonnades are just going to get the job done with fairly quickly. One of the strengths of playing Jeskai or Blue-White is that Celestial Colonnade is just a really good card.
Ravager gets in for another point of damage.
Ben does have a Karn, though.
All right. It's not nothing. Does Jake have a counter?
Doesn't look like it. Karn can make a 4/4. I feel like that's not going to get Ben out of this. But
well, he's just dying so quickly to the Colonnades.
But yeah, plussing Karn is pretty rough. With the Stony Silence in play, so few of Ben's cards actually do anything that I'm kind of tempted to just make the 4/4 anyway and just try to mount an offense. If Jake spends a turn attacking Karn with Celestial Colonnade, that's also fine.
Yeah, and he is ticking down.
Yeah, I like that decision.
However, ticking down does put Karn in range to get Lightning Helix, so down goes Karn. And Jake goes up to 12, too.
Yeah, Ben is very far away from killing Jake, even though the construct is going to be fairly large here.
Did he draw Anger of the Gods?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that's what it is.
Anger of the Gods would actually kill both of Ben's creatures here, because the Ravager would die, and then the...
Which makes it small enough to actually get gotten.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there it is.
I think that's a good safe way. Jake could attack with Celestial Colonnade, but next turn it wouldn't even be able to kill Ben because he's got 2 copies of Inkmoth Nexus that can jump in the way, give their life for the cause.
Yeah, so away goes the Arcbound Ravager. There goes a Construct. They both get exiled.
I think we're going to see Rune Halo naming Inkmoth Nexus here.
Can TBS draw anything? It's just the Steel Overseer, I think.
I don't think that is going to steal this game.
All right, here Jake promptly pays to animate the colony, attack. One more turn and TBS is done for. All right, Steel Overseer getting in there for a modest 1.
Once again, players who enrolled in the 340
And so we're going to see the slow demise of all these Inkmoth Nexuses and Blinkmoth Nexuses, Nexi, as the colony just attacks every turn.
I wonder what Rune Halo's naming of this.
Oh, this is
Oh,
funny.
nice. That's nice. He's tapping the Colonnade to crack that and kill the Nexus. But the Colonnade's already attacking. So TBS in response is going to activate. That one dies. And he still gets a chance to block.
And though TBS tapped his Spire of Industry, and now this Lightning Bolt, he could have actually stubborn denied the Lightning Bolt because Jake is completely tapped out here. But now Lightning Bolt's going to hit Inkmoth Nexus. TBS will be forced.
Yeah, and he's just conceding.
Yeah, he had no real way out of that, I think, regardless of what happened this particular turn.
All right, so Jake Beardsley here takes the match over at Grand Prix Las Vegas, and Affinity and Karn Technology not working out so hot.
Yeah, Jeskai's always been a tough matchup for Affinity, and Jeskai, when it draws a Stony Silence, is really hard to beat.
Yeah. What do you think are the worst matchups for Affinity? You said Jeskai. Is it like any spot removal deck is just going to kind of crush it?
It kind of depends on the mixture of spot removal spells. Jeskai has all these instant speed spells and
the
Snapcasters.
Electrolyte is pretty brutal.
Whereas if you play against a Jund deck that's relying more on cards like Liliana and Terminate, yeah, you don't care too much about that.
Liliana's like kind of no big deal, right?
A card worth sideboarding out is that bad.
All right, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after commercials, and we'll have more action here from Grand Prix Las Vegas.